Hello, this is Craig Mertens, Director of Product Education for Inktobo, the parent company of GraphicsFlow, Inksoft, and Printavo. Welcome to Class 2 of our Condi webinar series. We're going to be talking about dominating the school and teen markets with graphics and sublimatable products. I have my good friend David Gross on here from Condi Systems. We're going to kind of tag team on this event. So the first part we're going to do is we're going to kind of talk about the topic in general, and then we're going to do a presentation, and at the end we're going to open it up for Q&A. So how are you doing today, David?
Craig, very well. It's cooler here, so it's nice. Is it cooler where you're at?
Yeah, it was 59 degrees when I got up this morning, so I'm pretty thrilled with that.
That's weather to put on a coat here. But you and I both have a passion for decorated products, for graphics, for creating personalized products. And so it never gets old to talk about it. And there's always new and exciting things happening in our industry, isn't it?
Yeah, for certain. And, one of the things I enjoy talking about this topic is it is kind of a uniquely North American topic, and I'll throw Canada in there as well. It's not that the rest of the world doesn't have enthusiasm for their schools, teams, and sports. It's just, as Americans, we have products that merchandise just seems to flow out of that. Our level of, I don't know if it's just our need to show off or represent our teams, but, having traveled to Europe and England and continental Europe, people just don't rock the sportswear the way we do here. Maybe part of that is just the team rivalries and stuff and things of that nature. But it seems like every time I turn around, there's a rivalry football game or, school is winning a championship, there's merch being produced. So partly what we're going to do today is kind of teach you how to capitalize on that. And David, I think like football's kind of a thing in Alabama. Is that, did I get that right?
It is, Craig. And, I learn new words all the time because certain products are called different things, just like football and soccer. And for instance, rally towels, and all sorts of products. There are so many products that find their way into either for use at an event or for the parents or for sponsors, you name it. So it's very exciting. And of course, living in Alabama, we love our football and not really big into, pro football, NFL, but certainly big into college football. So this Saturday, I will be attending what's called the University of South Alabama football game. We have a nice new stadium for that. And my wife and our son, Finch, went to University of South Alabama. So, yeah, it's a big deal. We thoroughly enjoy it. But like you, I walk around really on heightened alert, looking for any decorated products, and trying to figure out the technology that decorated the product, potentially how much it sells for, what the cost was, maybe who actually decorated the product. So, you look at, as we've talked about, the value of a product is, of course, the substrate, the design that's on the product, and then how you merchandise the product. Do you merchandise it like you're at a flea market or an upscale boutique? All determines pretty much, what people will pay for the product.
It's not just the product that you're selling that's important. It's also the buying experience for the end user is just as important. And if you look at, especially in today's day and age, if you're one of those head in the sand people saying, hey, I don't need to have an e-commerce capability, I'm here to tell you that you have to have an e-commerce capability in today's day and age. I look at the stats from our Inksoft platform last year. We processed almost $1 billion in net sales through apparel decorators, and 80% of that was done on a phone or a tablet, not regular computers. It's pretty wild. So I really, that kind of hung on that. It's like, wow, it's not just about the product, but it's like you were saying, David, the way you merchandise it, and also that convenient buying experience. And this is pretty funny. So I don't know how you're gonna feel about this, but I was share a firsthand experience I had with one of our shared customers at the show, and he was using an e-commerce platform, and he was selling specifically to coaches. And the coaches themselves preferred having a printed out order form. So his kind of thing is they preferred to have a printed out order form where they'd hand out to the kids for their, their spirit wear, and the kids would send that out and they would, fill out the form. They'd scribble the credit card number down. They'd collect all these forms, and the coach would turn a stack of forms into him, and then he'd have to key all those into his e-commerce solution and get everything produced and billed. And I was dumbfounded. I was absolutely dumbfounded. And being a former coach, I know how coaches operate, kind of a lot of times a little bit set in their ways. And I said, you know what you could have done? You could have just had a card, print a postcard out, so you still get coaches still happy with the physical thing that they can hand out, but just put a QR code on that card, directing them to a landing page where they could just go on their phone and order. And that way you don't have to collect all these orders, worry about mistakes, not being able to read credit card numbers, I'm getting the wrong size. And he was like, it was like one of these kind of things where he was just like, oh, wow, why didn't I think of that? And I said, well, it's not my idea. I mean, we have customers that are doing this. But that buying experience,
taken for granted.
yeah, it is. And just printing out a card, which is a phenomenal idea when you're selling to school teams in sports, is have a web page set up, whether it's an online order form or if it's a full e-commerce experience with the QR code, you can get those cards through somebody like Vistaprint. It's going to cost you $30 to get 500 cards. And what a great investment in marketing and easing the way for your customer so they're more inclined to purchase with you. So what I'd like to do is kind of get into the presentation a little bit. So what we're going to talk about is how to identify buyers and key decision makers, how to grab their attention with graphics, how to engage your buyers and decision makers in a creative process to build loyalty and generate repeat business, how to create relevant graphics that emulate the major retail trends and connect with buyers, how to compete in the marketplace with a sophisticated graphics capability, and how to conduct a prospecting campaign using graphics as a showcase and also using online proposals. So the first thing I want to talk about is the market itself. The team and school and sports market compromises the largest audience for the sales of decorated apparel and personalized products. It's the biggest market segment, but it's also one of the most competitive market segments. So you have to be prepared to get creative to counter this high level of competition. The company with the best looking graphics is going to win in the marketplace. All things considered equal, if your products look better, they're going to sell better. And ultimately what you want is creating a web store, whether it's a written program where you have a flyer and you're getting that out. You want to have graphics that connect with the buyers that are going to inspire them to purchase. And the easiest way to sabotage a program with merchandise is to have poor graphics, things that just don't really inspire people to buy. Your target markets are going to include the youth, sports, booster clubs, school sports, and leisure sports market. Leisure sports is going to be things like pickleball and cornhole and darts and billiards, ultimate frisbee. And let's not forget about those folks because they're buying merchandise as well. Pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports in North America. So identifying buyers and key decision makers. It's not as hard as you think. Saguaro High School is a local high school in our area. It's the powerhouse high school, home of the SaberCats. They've put more kids into D1 football programs than any other team in the state. But it was surprising to me how easy it was to go onto their website. I just went to Scottsdale Unified Schools. They had a link to the athletic department website, and here you go. You've got all of the coaches and the athletic staff, a link to email them. It's very easy to contact these folks. And so by using a little bit of internet research, you're able to identify who the key decision makers are. And also, you can always go into the school office and introduce yourself, drop off a flyer, maybe a sample, a business card, and ask that person in the front office, hey, do you guys have a list of the faculty sponsors, the booster parents that I could have? I'm a local business. And they're going to be able to provide that to you. 9 times out of 10, the school's going to be able to provide that to you. Also, don't be afraid to pick up the phone. If you have a phone number and you leave a message for a coach or a booster parent, you're not asking them to return your call. All you're doing is prompting them to say, hey, listen, I put together a little merchandise program for you. I'm going to send you an email that has examples of the kind of work we're doing, whether that's a store that you created for them so they could see what a merchandise store would look like, or an online proposal, or even a PDF file attachment. making that phone call, leaving a message might be what it takes to inspire them to actually read your email, but don't expect to get a phone call. And also network with your friends and acquaintances. They've got kids that are involved in schools, teams, and sports. And also your business colleagues, they have kids that are involved in that. Use your corporate customers as referrals for that end of the business, but then also use your school, team, and sports customers as referrals for new corporate customers. That's a great way to manage your business. Engaging your buyers in a creative process. If you collaborate with the buyer on selecting the graphics, they're going to buy from you. They don't have a choice. If they want that cool graphic, they helped you to develop it. They gave you input. You brought it to life. They have really no choice but to purchase from you. And, you want to condition your clients to rely on you as a creative resource. You don't want them thinking of you as, hey, I give this person the logo, they put it on stuff. You want them thinking of you as, hey, this is the person that's going to work with me, come up with great ideas so we can produce awesome looking merch so our team looks better than everyone else. And whatever you do, do not send your clients to the internet to research graphics, unless it's your site. If you're sending them to the internet and saying, hey, just go to Custom Made, go to these websites, find what you're looking for, and then I can do something, quote, like that, they're also finding your competitors, and they might not come back. Be proactive, get ideas in front of your customers, and you want to scoop the competition. The time to get the state championship graphics in front of your customer is not, the day after the team wins the championship. If I'm doing this, I've built out all the graphics in advance. I've set up a store that I can just, boom, click a button, go live at the store, immediately publish to social media, here's the store to buy the merch, send out a blast email. I have all of that coordinated. And your competitors are probably not doing that. So having good graphics put together already, having a store ready to go live, these are best practices for scooping your competition. And sample sell. There's no substitute for laying a physical sample on a buyer. If you can get something into their hands, they can touch it, they can feel it. Maybe it's personalized to them. You drop, a name on there, or even, a graphic that's maybe a local business, theme. Getting that physical sample into the hands of a buyer is a very powerful tool for not only cultivating relationships, but closing deals. So emulating the retail graphic trends. If you look at the kind of the big four in the uniform business, you're talking about Nike, you're talking about Adidas, you're talking about Under Armour, and you're talking about Reebok. They're those that are doing all the collegiate professional sports uniforms. So they're doing extensive research on market trends, what's moving, what isn't. And so you can capitalize on the market research these big companies are doing by emulating their graphic styles. So in our GraphicsFlow platform, we come out with new graphics every single month. We're doing research. We're looking at the college bookstores. We're looking at, some of the big stores in our industry, seeing what kind of merchandise is out there, seeing what the top sellers are. And then we design new graphics every month. We're copying those trends. We're not copying the graphics, but we're copying those trends. And we're trying to make graphics that look familiar to your customers. So when they see a graphic, they're like, hey, that's just as cool as the national championship shirt that LSU did when their women won the national championship. Having customizable stock designs is going to be able to jumpstart your productivity. So when we do these designs that you can customize, you don't have to do that research. You can just tune into our creativity and get really great ideas in front of your customers. It's been my experience that samples sell, and that sample doesn't always have to be a physical sample. It can be a virtual sample like what you see here, what people would call a mock-up. And you really want to position yourself as a creative resource to your customer. You want them thinking of you first when they need a good idea. So customizable stock graphics, these are what we call design templates. We have a screen capture here of the GraphicsFlow stock art customizer. We have over 7,000 stock designs. Anyone, regardless of skill set, can go into that stock design, use a simple user interface, change the text, change the color, change the clip art, change the fonts, and create something really customized. But you're controlling the sales process. You're not asking that customer to go to another website and design something. You're reducing your art development costs. You're establishing value for your creative services. Your clients are learning to lean on you for ideas. At the end of the day, you're making it easier for people to buy from you. And that ends up shutting out the competition. That becomes a key part to what we call customer retention. And it's always easier to sell more to your existing clients than to go out and get new ones. New client acquisition is expensive. You need to spend money on SEO. You need to spend money on advertising. a lot of knocking on doors, but being able to sell more to your existing customers is a really good strategy, and graphics are going to help you to do that. You also are ensuring that your graphics are production ready. So for instance, if you download a graphic from GraphicsFlow, it's a vector graphic. It's super easy to recolor if you need to. It's already color separated for screen printing. It can be easily converted into a digitized file from somebody that's using a vector-based digitizing program. And also you don't have to worry about copyright issues because you're licensed to use the artwork within those templates. You're not copying somebody else's clip art, which can lead to all kinds of problems. But also you're reducing your art production time so that you can respond quickly, which is really important. People are impatient. They want things now. So out competing traditional screen printers with sublimation, there's a lot of advantages to sublimation. And one of the things that you can do that the rest of the world can't do is create those bright, vibrant, photorealistic images. The picture of the kids standing in front of the scoreboard, holding up the trophy after they won the state championship, and creating a sublimated transfer and creating a t-shirt like on a vaporware polyester apparel, which is premium apparel now, and being able to get that idea in front of a buyer in minimum order of one. A screen printer is not going to be able to do that. In order for them to create that kind of photorealistic graphic, they have to do 8 color simulated process printing. It's a very involved process. It requires 8 screens. You can't really set that up to do small order quantities. Oftentimes there's press checks to get the screens right. It's a very challenging and difficult type of printing. And you can just take a photo off your iPhone and print it, transfer it through Sublimation printing system, pop out a sample, get it in front of a buyer. They say yes, rinse and repeat. So, again, kind of getting that sample on your buyer is very important. And, you want to show off the process. You can always, create a few extra transfers when you're doing a job, because that's going to be your sample line for subsequent customers. That sample line doesn't have to relate to that new customer. It can just be your portfolio of work that you've done for other folks. So I'm always a big fan of printing out samples. Consider print on demand. You're in a position where with the sublimation system that you could say, create a web store. 1 week into the store, you collate all the orders, you produce and ship there. A week later, you do the same thing. You don't have to necessarily produce as the orders come in. But print on demand is a huge advantage because the customer doesn't have to stock anything, and you can ship more frequently, and you're becoming a convenience point for your customer, and you're able to do the low minimums. And if you hit it on the graphic and you hit it on the product, you can just bank on the reorders. So as a sublimator, you have a lot of very distinct advantages against the traditional screen printer. So the fundamentals of a successful prospecting campaign, and we're actually going to build out a campaign here so you can see how that works. Number one, you want to focus on the graphics, not the products. And some of the things that you can do with the graphics if you're doing sublimation is you can do things like vary the imprint size. You can create a smaller size imprint for the smalls through larges, slightly larger for extra large through XXX, and even the really big sizes. So that's kind of an advantage that you have on the graphic side with sublimation, and also personalization. It's easy to drop a name or a number or something really personalized. So getting the customer tied into the graphic is really important because they're not lining you up on price. And if you lead with price, the first question they're going to ask is, why are you costing more than this other person? Why is your price $10 and I've seen these out in the market for $7? Well, because part of that is you're paying for my creative services, maybe quicker delivery. If you focus on the graphic, they are engaged. They're part of the creative process. They know they have to get it from you, and you can absolutely bypass some of that price comparison. And you want to narrow the scope of your graphics. Choose your top sellers. Tailor the graphics to the organization. You don't have to give them a ton of choices. If I was trying to get, graphics in front of the cross-country coach, I might give them 5 choices, 10 at the max, and just show them, hey, these are some of the popular things that have worked for other people. You're looking at the graphic, but bear in mind, we can change the colors. We can customize this, any way that you ask, because we just have this great starting point, so we can do this really quick. Complicated is not always better. A lot of the, school, team, and sports graphics are simple, clean graphics with athletic fonts. There is a market for some of this more progressive, complex artwork, But the lion's share of the products that do really well and sell tend to be cleaner looks. And your personal taste is irrelevant. Rhinestones is a great example. Rhinestones are still super popular in the dance and cheer world and CrossFit world. So is glitter vinyl, but that might not be your thing. But if you're selling into that world and you're not doing stones and glitter, you're not competing, because that's what the market dictates. That's what they want. So if you're not into stones and glitter, you're probably into cash and checks. So, put aside your personal taste, because, you might have great taste in apparel and you might have terrible taste. We don't know. But what you need, your homework assignment, is to find out what works, what's selling, and focus on the types of graphics that are doing well in the marketplace. And that's the key, is emulating those graphics trends. And when I was a manufacturer's rep selling collegiate sportswear into the college bookstore market, it was all about the graphics. You were renting space in the store. University of Colorado was a big deal, again, with Deion Sanders and all that. I was the top collegiate. Our company, our family business, Desert Sportswear, was the top licensee for the University of Colorado in 1991. We sold more Colorado merch than anybody else, but it was all done on graphics. And also they had a really good football team and won a national championship. But we just had great graphics. And when our products are put into the bookstore or the local sporting goods store or the big retailers in the area, they would do well because our graphics were better. And that's really a huge differentiator between you and your competition. You look at some of the big companies in our industry that are national sales organizations, and they don't have great graphics oftentimes, and you can outcompete them on that level. Also, your biggest audience is the fans. It's not the players. If you look at, a good example would be a Little League baseball team, and there's 15 kids on the team, but there's 30 to 40 parents. You have aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, friends of family. They're the ones that are buying the fan gear. So, a lot of times people look at the sports market, I got to get the uniforms. You know what? I'll give you the uniforms for free if I have access to the fan wear. And that can be, also in the scope of promotional items and sublimatable products, all of your hydration and drink wear, all of your gift items, Christmas tree ornaments, all of the things that you can sublimate. The bigger audience is not the players. It's everybody around the players. And being able to kind of create a product mix of products that kind of work together graphically, but, have a wider scope, because granddad might be more interested in a cool foam farmer hat that's got a cool sublimated graphic on it, but, maybe grandma's really more enamored with the Christmas tree ornament. So being able to have, a wider range of products to kind of tip the balance in your favor with the fans is just a really good strategy. And I know a great company that can provide all those blank products that you can sublimate. They're called Condi Systems. So there you go. So, and then also tying up your clients with online stores. That is a huge, big deal. If you are hosting a store for a customer and that customer has a really convenient purchasing experience for their team members, the people they're selling to, you're going to sell more. And then when that competitor comes along and they want to, take this business away, guess what? It's going to be really hard for them to do that because you already have a store. And if you have great graphics that are working really well and you have a store, boy, that is a huge insurance policy against competition. And at that point, what you're doing is you're selling convenience. If you set up a revenue share program where instead of them just buying product, you're just giving them a percentage of profit. Kind of going rate is between 15 and 30%. Some people will do it on the actual gross, but in general, the more common way of doing it is with the percentage of profit. They're just collecting a check. They're not having to go and put in POs. They're not having to go and track money down with the school because they haven't paid their vendor, so their vendor cut them off. And the last thing a decision maker wants to do is have to deal with an accounting department. And basically, if you're just cutting them a check because you're collating all the order reports at the end of the month and saying, hey, your percentage is, here's $3,000, they're pretty excited about that. And they're not having to collect the money. And they're not having to send an army of kids out with an order form that gets lost and credit cards you can't read the number on the card. I mean, you just want them to be able to order on their phone or their tablet or possibly on their computer and make it really easy for them. You're trying to eliminate that old school order form, which is just a recipe for mistakes. And also you're getting reporting and tracking, so you know what's going on. And the customer, in the case, what you see here is a sample of an Inksoft store. that's our sister company. If in an Inksoft store, there's a customer portal, so they can log into their portal. They can see all the art that's been in their program. So if they need to place a reorder, they can see all of the orders. They can get a report on how much revenue has been generated on their revenue sharing program. They could do all of that. And again, that's what's locking the buyer to you. And, consumers are going to order more when they have a convenient ordering system, especially, when you're just popping onto your phone and going to a web page and mobile friendly web e-commerce experience, like with Inksoft, it's all mobile enabled. Boom, 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 click the button, click checkout, pump in your credit card, order's on its way. Wow. What a great experience versus scribbling notes onto an order form. So also you can react immediately to market opportunities when you're doing online stores. And so if you have a, state championship, it's kind of that example I presented before, is like literally go live at the store, post to Instagram with the link to the store, send out an email saying, hey, we got merch after the team wins. Wow, what a great way to go live with a merchandising program, and your customers are going to love you for that. And also, you're getting paid as the orders are getting processed. So instead of waiting for a PO or having to deal with credit terms, if you're doing an online store, every time there's an order, you get paid up front, which is great. And I know how much, credit can be a real, obstacle to success, because you're having to pay for those blanks ahead of time. And so if you're giving your customer credit terms, but you're having to pay your vendor ahead of time for those blank products, that you're getting stretched out. And so being able to get paid in advance, another great advantage of doing online stores with team sports and schools. And you're not competing on price because of that revenue share program. And the retail price is tied to the revenue share. So the customer is actually rewarded for charging a higher price. And one of the things that I'll recommend that my clients do is I'll say, hey, listen, if the customer wants a bigger revenue share, no problem. You can do that. We just have to raise the retail price a little bit. So if they want 30%, we can do that. We got to charge $25 for the tee. If they want, 20%, we're going to charge $20 for the tee. And if they, they only want 15%, maybe we can charge $17 or $15 to $17 for the tee. So you tie in their revenue share to the retail price. And also, with these stores, you can offer, some higher profit products, the same print, but maybe a little wider scope. You could put some premium products in there because there's really no minimums. You throw a premium product in there and maybe it's not something that's going to do a lot of volume, but that certain customer that, is willing to spend a little bit more on a really cool framed photograph, you can do that. And you can steer the product mix in your favor. And so you can steer products that are higher profit margin, lower production costs, which is super smart. But you're at the end of the day, your stores become your showroom, and that's what you're using to recruit new clients. You take a client and say, hey, this is my store. This is what I can do for you. And by the way, I took the liberty of setting up a quick store for you, so you kind of see what it all looks like. That's the general concept. So I'm going to walk you through kind of the process of creating a store so you can kind of see how that all works. And we'll kind of come back to this concept of artwork and e-stores and being able to set up a sales program that's going to attract new customers and, more importantly, keep your existing ones keep them buying from you. So let's jump right into the actual process of creating the artwork and creating the store. So I'm logged into my GraphicsFlow account. And in its pure sense, GraphicsFlow is a content delivery system. But you see right here, these are design ideas. There's over 7,000 interactive design templates. All these files are customizable. You don't need to use Adobe Illustrator or CorelDRAW to edit the files. We can edit the vector files natively in the cloud, download a production file, or we can download a CorelDRAW or Illustrator file and manually edit these files. But we'll show you how to edit the files in a second. Also a massive depository of clip art, and these are all production ready files. So if you just need a cool tiger mascot, you got a cool tiger mascot. You can even recolor the mascot before you download it. So maybe you want to see what it looks like in blue versus purple. You can actually do those edits on the vector file before you download it. And you can actually save that as a custom file. So you have your school colored mascot for the next time you need it. Now, the other part of it is fonts. We're a font foundry, so there's 560 fonts that are embedded into GraphicsFlow, and you install all those fonts. You have access to them in all your graphics programs, whether it's Corel or Illustrator or using a different program. And you also have the ability to store your art. So if you store your art, you have common formats like a good example would be, DST embroidery files or PSD or SVG files or AI or CDR or Photoshop or EPS files even, PNGs, JPEGs. Anytime you upload files to GraphicsFlow, it will create previews of those files. And then what you can do is you can assign keyword tags to those files, so it makes it really super easy for you to search by, for instance, maybe I want to see, hey, what do you have for Panther designs? I can just do a search by Panther and I can pull up all the Panther designs. And if I want to download it, I just download it. Or if I want to share it, I add it to an art approval. So when I'm doing a prospecting campaign to a customer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a design, I'm going to customize it, and I'm going to create a gallery. And I'm going to create a gallery of products, gallery of graphics that I'm going to get in front of a customer. And so what a typical gallery is going to look like, these are all designs that I went in and customized. And all I did is went in and pulled up a few ideas and used the stock art customizer and GraphicsFlow to customize these for the local schools in my area. I created some virtual samples, uploaded those. And so I have this page right here that I can send out to my potential buyers. And these are the 5 major schools in the Scottsdale Unified School District. So even though maybe I'm not doing business with Arcadia High School, it kind of looks like I'm doing business. And this particular art approval, I've actually sent this out to quite a few different people. And there's all these people that have subscribed to this page that are commenting on it. So that's kind of, there's a couple comments. What are the comments saying here? It says, hey, this is a test approved for print. Some people are, for the webinars are commenting on this, which is great. This is what we want them to do. But this is just a great way to get ideas in front of your customer. And if I want to add a new idea, I can just go over here and go to my art, things that I've already previously created. Here's a design I created in live webinar. And I just go over here and add that file, and I can add it in here. If I want to change the background, I can go and change the background right here and maybe make that gray. So just a really great way to get ideas in front of customers. Now, when I actually want to get that idea in front of a customer, I can share it with the sharing link. So if I hit invite, I can go in and put in people's email, and I can set the permission level. So all these folks have a permission level to comment. They put their email in when I sent the link so they can all comment, but I could turn all their commenting off too and remove them. So I can just say, hey, view only. I can also grab a link here to send it out in an email. So I can grab a view only link. If I want to send it to 10 coaches and I don't want them to see each other's comments, I'll send a view only link. I can send a comment link so they can only comment, they can't approve, or I could do a comment and approval link. So if I'm sending it to the head decision maker, maybe they have the approval link, but all the underlings have just the comment or view link. So I can control the customer's interaction with this page just by the link that I choose. So I would copy, let's say, a view only link, pump that into a text message or an email, and I can get all these ideas in front of the customer. And they can be combinations of our stock designs and designs you've done previously for other customers. So it's a great artwork collaboration tool. So let me show you how I would create a quickie little prospecting campaign, and we'll do a design here. And the design can originate from 2 places. It could just be going into the platform and you say, hey, I want to do a soccer design for East Eagles. Could just me picking this design and customizing it. But I also have an art portal, and that art portal can operate as a standalone web page, or it can be incorporated into my website. And that portal allows the customer to have an experience where they can go and select the artwork. They can click on the design. They can put all their notes in. They can add that artwork to a submittal form, and they can just send this in with all their details. I can customize the form to collect as much information as I want. So I'm always going to collect name and email and phone number, but I've added tell us about your project field. I also added a field for picking a date when the project is due, and I also added a field for picking their sales rep, because I might be sending my customers here to pick out their art files, and I want to make sure it's targeted back to the person they were working with. But I can add any fields I want. And I also have an upload art field enabled. So if they want to upload their mascot, maybe because they said, hey, I like this design, it's got a gator in it, but I need it to have an eagle in it, they can upload their mascot or upload source artwork of things that they've been looking at that they're inspired by. So it's just a really excellent way to collaborate with your customer. And then also I can put in showcases here. So I can add individual showcases into my portal that focus on specific market segments or specific artwork like this. Now, when the art request comes in, it's going to come into my GraphicsFlow account as a design request. I'm going to get an email that's going to say, hey, here is what I want. And, this is how I'd like you to change it. Here's some details about my project. Or if I just want to start from scratch, I'm just going to go to design ideas, pick out the design and start editing. But let's do it through the context of a design request, where a design request actually came in. And a design request came in and it said, okay, this design request, I need a fresh new soccer design for our team. Please specify your in-hand date, 8/31. Who's your sales rep? And here's the details on the art. And so I'm going to assign this to somebody. So I can assign it to another member of my team, put in some notes. They'll get emailed the notes. They'll also get notified in the app. But what I want to really do is just localize this from Cardinal Soccer, and I want to create a design that says East Eagles. And so I'm just going to say customize, and I'm just going to make the changes. So I'm actually natively editing on the original vector file that was created in Corel or Illustrator. I'm editing on that actual file. So the nice part about that is I have all the effects and features and capabilities of Illustrator or Corel Draw. Our vector engine emulates all of that same thing. So the text is live, for instance. So if I go over here and I change this to East High School and hit enter, and I change this to Eagles, I have 2 layers on this text effect. So we're going to change that to Eagles, change the other layer. I can move things around, make them smaller, make them bigger, change fonts. I've got a complete latitude in terms of changing this. We'll say EHS. If I want to, I can pop this soccer ball out or turn it off or put an eagle mascot in there. It's up to me. It's completely customizing this design. So it's not a design application where you're like designing and moving things around. And what it is, it's a customizer. You're swapping out clip art, swapping out text, swapping out colors. Yes, you can move things around, but it's just a really simple experience. And you can't get in any trouble, which I love that. So let's go ahead and localize the colors here. So I'm going to make this color right here. We're going to make it this blue. So I'll make that blue. Actually, I think I'm going to make that part gold. So I'm going to make that part gold. So you get to kind of look at it before you make the changes. And then this part right here, I'm going to make this part blue. And I really don't want that gray in the design because I'm trying to save some colors. So I'm going to take the gray and just reassign it to white. So now it's 3 colors. So if I'm screen printing, I want to be really aware of those kind of things. So East High School Eagles, soccer, EHS, soccer ball. I'm going to save the design. I've got a little folder I set up for East Eagles. And then we'll call this East Soccer Design 10. Save the design. I'm going to download a PDF file real quick because we're going to use this to populate a web store. So we're going to download that file. I can also download a Corel file if I'm going to edit that in CorelDRAW. PDF, I'm going to edit it in Photoshop or Illustrator or Affinity Designer or Inkscape. And if I just want a little bitmap file for social media, just download a PNG file. I can go and just add it to an art approval. So I don't know if I've got an art approval set up in here, but I'll just create a new one. And we'll just call it East Eagles Soccer. And we can add that file to that art approval. And then I can just bounce it over to the customer. If I just want to get the artwork over there and bounce it over to the customer, pretty easy. Just here's your art approval. I'd probably go and drop a background color in here. So we'll just lay in maybe some kind of an ash gray. So this is the process. And you see how easy it is to do this? And here's the coolest part. If I save this East Eagles file, I got it exactly the way I want. I can come back to it later on and change it to another school, change the colors. It's my template now, and I'm free to go and edit it because it's still an editable template. If I come back to my art where I stored it right in here, and if I want to go in and make another look at all these fun designs I made. I can just go over here to say customize again and whammo, customize it all over again. So it's just a wonderful tool for getting ideas. And here's the magic. When I'm approaching the school and I want to sell the school, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to project out this design in that school. I'm going to take a store that I've already built for a school store. I'm going to clone that store. I'm going to swap out the graphics, and I'm going to get the ideas right in front of the customer. It's going to be awesome. So let me show you how you do that. So I'm leaving GraphicsFlow. So I'm not in GraphicsFlow anymore. And now I'm headed over to Inksoft, where we're going to localize that store. So I'm just going to go to my Inksoft account. I'm just on a store right now, but let me show you kind of how we got here. Is I logged into Inksoft, our sister company. I went down to stores. This is my master store that I set up exactly the way I wanted it for all my school and team shops. I have a different store for events. I have a different store for small business. You can create little niche stores, but here's the thing. Once I set up the store, I don't have to create the settings again. I don't have to create the layout again. I don't even have to create the products or the artwork again. I just have that store and I'm going to clone it. And so I'm going to take this central booster store and I'm going to clone it to say East Eagle. So I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to click on clone and I'm going to say clone store, and we'll just call this East Eagles boosters. And we can have the URL say whatever we want, but maybe East Eagles already has a Booster Club website. They set up a page, East Eagles /stores. I'm not stuck with our URL. I'm not stuck with an Inksoft URL. I can actually put in their URL and forward it to their page. So they're not seeing Inksoft anywhere, which is a really great plan. And I would suggest doing that. And a little pro tip on there, when we do that domain forwarding, we also create an SSL certificate. So they're not getting that site unscared thing. That's included with Inksoft, which is kind of a big deal. So we'll go East Boosters, and very important, include products and store data. This is a new function we added about 3 weeks ago. So if I enable this, then what I can do is I can say clone store, but the artwork and the products come over. And where that's important is now I can globally replace the artwork and my products are just sitting there as a placeholder. So what I would do is I'd say replace art in bulk. I would go to this particular design right here and I would replace it. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to say replace art. I'm going to upload a print file that I went into GraphicsFlow and I localized that print file for East Eagles. So let's go in there. And here's my PDF files right here. So here's the corresponding East Eagles file right there. I'm going to swap that file out. So I'm going to replace that art. It'll tell me how many products it was connected to. I could do the same thing here, replace art, and do the same thing here. So I'm just replacing all of the Central Cougars designs with the East Eagles designs. That's all I'm doing. Doesn't take very long at all. And if I had 100 products that had these files on them, all 100 products would change with the new art, which is absolutely awesome. So let's go ahead and replace those. And then I have an embroidery file too. So let's change that one too. So embroidery file is going to be a little different because when I replace the embroidery file with the DST file, what's going to happen is it's going to allow me to map the colors and the color changes. So right here, here's the design. I'm going to take this and we're going to use, I'm using ice card. I could use Madeira too. So I'm going to change that to Mimosa, and the beak, we're going to do the same thing, Mimosa. And then these right here, I'm trying to think, I think that's just going to all be white. So I'm mapping the thread colors, and that's what's creating this really neat 3D rendering of the file. How cool is that? So now we've got all these files swapped out with the new art, and I can go to store products and I can see what's going on. So they all have all the products I loaded up in the store, they all have the new art. And I can go in and further edit this. So if I go into this product and I want to, swap out the colors a little bit, if I go over here to pricing and styles, I can say edit design styles, and I can see that, and I don't really like that colorway with the black. It really doesn't show up. So I'm just going to create a different colorway where I'm going to take the black and remap it to white, which should look better. Hit done, apply changes, and now the product updates. So let's take a look at the store. So we swapped out all the art on these products. The product colors are probably not right, so we probably want to change that. So yep, we do. So where we have this blue shirt right here, we probably want to change that and maybe change that to, well, blue actually works. So we've got the blue shirt because we had blue in the other design. Where we have the issue is the red shirt. So we've got a red shirt in there. We don't need a red shirt. So let's go over here on this one and change out the color of the shirt. So I'm just going to say edit designs and styles. We don't need the red. So let's get rid of the red. And let's add white. Why not? So let's go and add white. We'll add gold. How cool is that? So let's add some gold here. And you notice that color scheme could probably look a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to view the colorways for this design, and maybe we'll create a new colorway for the gold. So where all the gold is in the design, maybe take that gold. I suppose I could turn that to white. Let's see what it looks like. So take that gold, make it white. Yeah, it does look good. And hit done, and then take this gold and probably make that white. Yeah, it looks great. And I'm going to save that new colorway for gold. So now I have a colorway for the gold right here, and I got a colorway for the ash, and looking good. So I'm going to apply those changes. And so all I really did is just take the red shirt and turn it to gold. That's all I really did. And so let's build out the store. So first things first, what I'm going to do is I've got all my components from the store, and it's super easy to add a component. Let's get rid of this component right now. I'll show how easy it is to add it back in. So you have this huge component library. The base store gets built, and then you have this component library. So to add a new component, I can say, hey, let's add a fundraising component, and let's move this fundraising component to the top. So I can do a little drag and drop here. There you go. And let's set up the deets on the fundraising component, goal setting. We're trying to raise $5,000. We're giving them $5 per unit, but maybe I switch that to percentage of profit. So we're giving them 15% of profit now. And here's the little message there, 15% profit from each transaction goes to the Central Boosters Travel Fund. You don't have to make that public. And then we'll put an end date on here, October 13th. We'll push it out to the 20th, hit done. That's how easy it is. And so all of the components have corresponding settings over here. And you just hit edit and you can change all those settings. We want to change the branding on this. So let's change the branding on it. So that's pretty easy. So I'm going to save and publish this store, and then we're going to switch out the branding. Before we do that, let's change this banner. So let's remove that banner and let's upload a new banner. And here's the new banner that I just took a photo of the school and dropped the logo in. Boom, there's that. So that helps a little bit. And then let's just go over to store admin and change branding. So here's all the settings for the store. So if I go to the store settings, and maybe I wanted to change that custom domain name to the actual URL that the school provided for me when they set up the page. That's how you do it. And you notice it'll set up the SSL certificate for me. I can change any aspect of the store, but I'm cloning the original store. So these all settings came from the Central Booster store. But so one of the things I do want to change is the store branding. And so I'm going to go over here and replace this with the pennant logo. And I'm going to replace this with the cool little eagle icon. There we go. And then I'm going to replace the image preview of the store with that preview. So that's what will show up in Facebook now. If you post the URL, let's save and publish. And let's see what's going on. All right, starting to come together. Starting to look pretty good. But let's get the color scheme cooking. So edit. Here's the colors. Let's make that gold. Looking good. Let's make that gold. Looking good. Come down here. Do we have a testimonial in here? Yep, we do have a testimonial. It's not fresh. It's not really accurate to the current person. It's actually a coach from the competitor school. So we can either update it or delete it. I'll just delete it. And since I deleted that, I think this color should be gold, just kind of in keeping with that alternating thing we're doing. And all right, looking good. Let's swap out the product. So we're going to go to manage product and let's build a product, and we'll pop that in there. So all this is already populated. So I'm just going to take this product right here if I want to and delete it and hit done. So now it's just a placeholder. So let me show you how you create a new product. We've already done this kind of swap thing already, but let me show you how to create a new product. So to create the new product, what I would do is I'd go back to admin, and we're just going to create something from scratch, and I'll go to store admin and I'd say, hey, create a new product. So create new, and let's say it was going to be that mug, and I ordered a blank mug from Condi, and we wanted to set that up. There's the product. We'll add that. I'm going to add the colorway for so if we had that colorway where we were doing the white in there, which I think looks a lot better, make it bigger. Won't let you go outside that boundary because that's your max imprint area. I have a rule set up in the store that I can't go outside the max imprint area, and that's just a safety net for me that says, hey, you can't print it bigger than that, but I can turn that setting off as well. So I'm just going to create the product. I'm going to come over here. There's the description. Here's the color. If I have multiple colors, I can say which one shows first. I can add a prefix to this so I know that everything that's got East Eagles in it starts with EE if I want to run a report. And we're going to charge $20 for these mugs. Hit finish. So here's my new product that I just created. And remember, I have that little placeholder. Just manage products. Hit plus, add it, done. And that's how easy it is to create new products. Now, when you're doing these store templates, imagine every one of these products had the same graphic on it. If I did that global art replacement, it's going to replace the graphic on every single product. And so I don't have to go back and do it one at a time. Just so happens in this one, I have a different graphic on each product. So the concept when you're wanting to dominate the school, team, and sports market, instead of creating a virtual sample and a mock-up, sending them an email, you create what we call a pitch store. So you take your main store template, you copy it, you grab the logo off the school's website, maybe you grab a photo, create a cool little banner, and this takes you a couple minutes. I can do one of these in about 5 minutes. You go and take the graphics that you already set up as your stock school graphics in GraphicsFlow, change them to the new school, maybe it's West Warriors, and then you copy the store, change the logo to West Warriors and the branding with the header and the image here, change the school colors to maybe orange and navy, do the global art replacement. So all the products are the same. We're just swapping out the artwork. And now you have a pitch store. And so you can go to that coach or their booster and say, hey, listen, I took the liberty of building out this store for you to kind of show you what our capabilities are. This is going to showcase our graphics capability as well as our store platform. If you'd like to meet with, we kind of talk about how this works. Literally, it's just a matter of agreeing on the revenue share and publishing the store, and you're ready to start taking orders. There's no risk to you. You don't have to buy any inventory. We'll do a print-on-demand program, so we'll produce orders once a week. We'll have a quick turnaround time. If you want to, we can create a postcard for you with the QR code on it that you can give out to all of the kids. They can take it to their parents, their grandmothers, their brothers, their sisters. That QR code will direct them to this store that they can access on their phone or their tablet computer, and they can place their orders. And you're not having to chase around trying to collect printed orders. And by the way, we're going to sit down with you about the aesthetics of the store and the product mix. We're going to do all of that with you. But I just wanted you to see what our capabilities are. This is how you tie up schools. This is how you get new customers, and this is how you retain your customers. Once you tie somebody up with a store, they're really not going anywhere. They are locked to you. And especially if you combine that with having really good progressive graphics that are going to look cool and they're going to sell, that's even better. So I want to thank you and David Gross for coming and hanging out with us today on Condi Webinar 2. If you want more information on GraphicsFlow, you can go over to GraphicsFlow.com. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can get there by just scrolling to the bottom of the page and hitting the little YouTube button. If you want more information on Inksoft, same thing, go to inksoft.com. We also have a great YouTube channel, and you're more than welcome to book us for a demo if you'd like to see what's going on. We have a special program for attendees of the Conde webinar series, so make sure to identify yourself as a Conde user. So again, thank you so much for joining us on the Conde webinar series, and we'll see you on the next one.